Hey everybody, welcome to my class. This is a class over primary search of a residential structure. My name is Jimmy Taylor. I've been in the fire service for about 13 years now, and I kind of take pride in the primary search or any kind of search of a residential structure because I feel like it's something that we don't work on a lot, at least in a live fire uh, environment and blacked out whenever we're doing the training. So this is a subject I really have a lot of passion about, so I figured I'd give it a shot at teaching it. Um, these days with the COVID and everything, this is kind of the new format for teaching. So bear with me here. We're gonna run through this PowerPoint, watch a video, and try to do a discussion. Um, so to start off, like I said, this is a primary search of a residential structure. So our learning objectives at the end of this lesson, you guys will be able to determine what information is of value for a primary search, identify the need to work as part of a team, perform a primary search of a room with limited visibility, select proper equipment to perform a primary search, apply proper body positioning while performing a search, locate victims during a search, and demonstrate fire ground radio communications used during a primary search. So we have two search types. We have a primary search and a secondary search. Do you guys know the difference between the two?
I know the primary search is supposed to be done really quickly, kind of rapid, trying to find somebody that might be in danger. And then the secondary, I think, is a little bit more maybe meticulous, a little more thorough than the primary.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Primary search. So it's a rapid search for life during firefighting activities. So we're getting there on scene. You get assigned primary search and you're going in and you're as fast as you can go, but we're still going to be thorough with that. Also going to place emphasis on likely locations of the victim. So, we're going to go over time of day and where victims are going to be later on in the presentation. Secondary search. This isn't a class over secondary search, but we'll go ahead and define it. So it's a painfully thorough search to ensure that there's no possibility that there's anybody else left in the structure. And it should also be done by another crew than the one that did primary search. So as with everything, we're going to put safety first. There's a couple of things I like to address with safety on doing a primary search. The first one's proper PPE and tools, and the second is the hazards that are associated with going inside the structure. So our tools, of course, we're going to need a full set of PPE and SCBA, and we're making sure that we're wearing it all correctly. Forcible entry tools, a TIC, which is a thermal imaging camera, a flashlight, handheld radio, and then the most useful tool, in my opinion, is our training and our experience. So a 10-year firefighter is going to have a lot more experience than that 1-year firefighter whenever it comes to performing a primary search. So the hazards that we're going to see on scene, we're going to see holes in the floor. There's not a lot of basements around these areas, but we do have second story, third story. There's always that chance that there's something going on with the structure. I feel like there's three limitations that we have that could be considered hazards. Limitations with our equipment, experience, and our training. We went over the experience and the training as limitations, but the equipment, we got to have working equipment, got to make sure that we take care of that stuff and it's ready to go before the fire happens. Another hazard would be unsafe structures. That kind of coincides with the holes in the floor. We don't want to be going into any structures that are going to put us in positions that we can't get out of. And of course, becoming lost or trapped, that's always in the back of the mind of a firefighter. So our special considerations we're going to consider. We have information that's going to be super helpful whenever we're deciding how or where we're going to search. The location of the victims, age considerations, and then the time of the incident. So the information, kind of want to open this up for discussion here. Do you guys know of any examples of what would be useful information on scene?
Of residents, I guess if you knew if there was actually people who lived in the house, how many people lived in the house, um, the ages, maybe if it's just a standard family or if they're like grandparents, that might affect it a little bit.
Right.
Where
Right.
the rooms are at, bedrooms and such.
Yeah. If we showed
Maybe
up
where the
on,
fire's at, if someone happened to.
yeah, yeah, where the fire's at. If we showed up on scene and somebody's saying that somebody's unaccounted for, that's probably useful information, right? And
Yep.
then misinformation. Anybody got any examples of that?
Man, maybe if a neighbor that's, panicking, telling you something that's not true, and get you, working off of false information, that wouldn't be good.
Right. And we all know that PD always has really bad information too. So can't always
Like
rely
addresses.
on other
Like
internet as
addresses,
well. Yeah, addresses.
blocking the road.
Yep, yep, that's it. So another consideration is the location of victims. Like these are our likely locations. Routine pathways. This is where we're going to find them in the exit ways, in the halls, under, behind doors, in the hallways leading to exits, under and near windows. We got to make sure that we search those areas thoroughly. They're going to be in bedrooms and bathrooms. These are the two most common rooms to find a victim. We need to check between the bed and the wall. That I feel like that's a spot that always gets missed. We see it during training. We'll go into a room, sweep our hand across the bed or whatever, call it good. But we actually need to get up on top of the bed and start searching these areas in between. We're also going to check for bunk beds. Anytime you fill a bed, always like to say, if you can, of course, due to heat or anything, you stand up and fill, see if there's any other bed above it, checking for bunk beds. And then tubs and showers in the bathroom. A lot of people, they associate, we've always been told if a tornado comes, you're going to try to get into a bathroom and a bathtub. And I don't know why, but some people seem to associate that with fires too. So we might find victims in those areas as well. So I got a little video here that I want to share. It's just a 20-second, and it'll kind of show it'll show this bed search that we were talking about and how to properly search around a bed. You notice he goes in all the way up. He's going to climb onto the bed, sweeps down in between the wall and where the bed was. And then he can in this scenario, but he made the motion of checking underneath as well, because those kids, they'll hide underneath those beds. So I thought that was a really good video of how he climbed on top of the bed to do a thorough search there. So carrying on with location of victims, age considerations. Like I said, kids, they tend to hide, and they hide well sometimes, and they get scared. So we're going to check closets. We're going to check under beds. They might be on the bed just underneath the covers balled up, so it might be easy to miss. Also got considerations for the elder. Sometimes they need assistance moving. Sometimes they can be disabled. So we need to keep those considerations in mind as well. Moving on to time of day. So the different times of days are going to they're going to present with different locations of your victims. Like in the daytime, we're not going to find as many people in the bedrooms. We're going to pull up and see if there's any cars in the parking lot. Heck, there might not be anybody home at all, but we're still going to do our primary searches. But the locations that we're going to concentrate on might change a little bit during the day. So at nighttime, we are going to be in our beds. We're going to be in the bathroom, kind of in those areas. And that's where the emphasis needs to lie for our primary search during that time of the day. So some of our psychomotor searching techniques. This is how we're actually going to perform the search. One of the big things is body positioning. We see a lot of people go in crawling on all fours, head down, and that just doesn't work out. You're going to fall through the floor, or it's not as easy to stay oriented as if you're looking up. Even in zero visibility, if you have your head up, and on a swivel, left and right is still left and right, and staying oriented becomes a little bit easier. I like the modified duck walk. So this is going to be, you're kind of squatted in a deep squat, but one leg's going to be out in front, and then you're going to kneel on the other knee, and then kind of walk with your outstretched leg in front. Moving techniques, we're going to sweep the floor looking for victims, but this is super important. We're not going to sweep with any tools or anything like that that's going to cause any damage. We're going to sweep with our arms and our hands, maybe the handle of an axe if we're doing it softly, but could you imagine getting hit with one of those pike ends of a Halligan? That wouldn't be fun. It's not going to be good for our patient. Then we're going to move on to victim packaging once we do find somebody. This is all going to be determined by distance of travel. So if we show up, find a victim, and there's a window nearby this victim, but we just came through 50 feet of interior space. Well, we're going to work to try to get them out this window if it's a little bit easier than trying to drag them all the way back through where the fire was. So that's what I mean by determined by distance and travel. We're going to find out during our search where all these places are, where our forms of egress are, to remove these patients a little easier. And it also may be better to protect in place, determined by location too. If you find this person in between the fire and a egress point and there's no other way out, it might be best just to protect them until the fire can be put out. Victim size, that's another thing that we have to deal with. Don't be afraid to call for more crew members for assistance. That's why we have so many people on scene. We can get as many people in there as possible to assist us with moving patients. So with victim removal, we're just going to kind of come up with our own ways of using webbing, using drag devices. Sometimes you go in there and it's just best to grab and go as much as you can, or in any way that you can. Teamwork is the dream work. That's what they say. And training, these are super important things that we have to remember with primary searches. So with teamwork, we're going to remain in a team of 2 and work together. That's going to be usually one firefighter is going to be searching the room. The other firefighter is going to stay at the door with a tick, oriented, calling out objects, maybe even victims in the middle of, and they can direct the searching firefighter a little more to where a victim might be seen on the tick. We're going to maintain accountability and report often to our teammate. So as you're searching, I like it to call out like different egress points or anything that you find, or another door. These are ways to keep accountability. Your guy at the door he hears you talking, he knows where you are, and you're remaining in communication. Our training needs to remain fresh, need to do it a lot, and utilize realistic training whenever possible. So I was part of Acquired Structures group whenever I was down at our training academy. And I love the fact that whenever we get these structures, you can go in and you can do a smoked out primary search on these different places that you've never seen before. And it's not just a square room. So really need to get out to those acquired structures and do some training on the primary search. Inside communications, we're going to be calling out to victims as well, and trying to help them locate, or help us locate where they're at in the structure. And then, of course, relaying that info back to the teammate at the door. So with radio communications, we're going to use proper language. We don't use 10 codes or anything like that. Emergency traffic. Don't be afraid to use emergency traffic to be able to clear the radio waves if you're trying to get a message out. Speaking normally, like we said, no 10 codes. Take a breath. It's a big deal, especially if you find a victim. Before you go keying up the radio, take a breath, think about what we're going to say before we transmit. We also need to know how to operate our radio. That's way before we even get to the fire. Operated in zero visibility, that's another training deal that we can have. And then emergency ID activation. Sometimes you need your hands, and we know how long that our hot mic would be whenever we activate our emergency ID and we can keep working. And then also super important, this has to do with personal ability or personnel accountability. Is to know who you're reporting to, know who your chain of command, who you've been attached to, if you've been attached to a different crew than what you showed up with. So in summary, on the fire scene, our first priority is life safety. Performing a thorough primary search the correct way helps us address this priority at a fire. Being able to do this is limited in a limited and no visibility environment is essential. Also important is the use of tools to accomplish the search. Working as a team and using great communication will aid us in performing at a high level and provide victims with the best chance of survival. So that's all I got for this class. Any questions over what we went over?
I don't think so, Lieutenant Taylor. That was a lot of great information. Well put together.
Yes, sir. Well done.
Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate y'all joining my class, and I hope you got a lot out of it.